A New Hampshire corrections officer has been charged with murder for causing the death of a psychiatric patient. Tonight on Rational Lunatic Television, coming to you from Rational Lunatic himself, of course. Before we get started real quick, if this video does go past 10 minutes and you're on TikTok, jump over to YouTube where you can catch the full video there, or you can also catch all my content on Patreon. Plus on Patreon, I have a members only section for $5 a month. You can get my Not Safe for Life content. It's still the same type of content. It's just way worse cops and officials doing way more heinous acts. With that being said though, hit that like and subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can get notified whenever I drop a new video. And let's get into this one. This report is coming directly from the Office of the Attorney General in New Hampshire. An arrest of former corrections officer Matthew Miller. Concord, New Hampshire. Attorney General John M. Formella announces that former corrections officer Matthew Miller, age 39, of Boscawen, New Hampshire, has been arrested and charged with second-degree murder for causing the death of a patient, Jason Roth, age 50, at the Secure Psychiatric Unit of the Department of Corrections. Quote, the decision to bring a charge of this nature for on-duty conduct by a law enforcement officer was not made lightly, but was based on a careful and thorough review of the facts and the law, said Attorney General Formella. Quote, the charge in this incident represents allegations against one specific individual. It should in no way be taken as a reflection on the behavior or overall professionalism of the hard-working men and women at the New Hampshire Department of Corrections, particularly those who provide care and security to patients at the Secure Psychiatric Unit. Matthew Miller is charged with one count of second-degree murder, contrary to RSA 6301B, for recklessly causing the death of Jason Roth under circumstances manifesting an extreme indifference to the value of human life by using his arms and or legs to apply force and pressure to Mr. Roth's torso and or neck, thereby causing his death by combined traumatic compressional and positional asphyxiation. An affidavit filed in this matter alleges that on April 29, 2023, 6 corrections officers in the Secure Psychiatric Unit of the Department of Corrections engaged in a use of force incident that resulted in the death of Mr. Roth, a patient at the facility. At this time, the Attorney General's office does not anticipate bringing criminal charges against any of the other corrections officers involved in this incident. Shortly after Mr. Roth's death, New Hampshire State Police, in conjunction with the New Hampshire Department of Justice, conducted an investigation into the facts and circumstances surrounding Mr. Roth's death. On October 25, 2023, Dr. Mitchell Weinberg of the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner determined that Jason Roth's manner of death was homicide and that the cause of death was combined traumatic compressional and positional asphyxiation. The investigation produced evidence that Matthew Miller applied downward pressure with his knee and arms onto Mr. Roth's torso, neck area for several minutes while Mr. Roth was handcuffed and face down on the floor, contrary to DOC's use of force protocols and training. Matthew Miller received training on asphyxia and use of force, which detailed the risk of death inherent with the specific manner of restraint he applied. Today, Matthew Miller was arrested and taken into custody. An arraignment is anticipated this afternoon at the Concord Circuit Court. The charges against Matthew Miller are only allegations, and he is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty. This case is being investigated by the New Hampshire State Police and is being prosecuted by Senior Assistant Attorney General Dan Jimenez of the New Hampshire Department of Justice Public Integrity Unit and Assistant Attorney General R. Christopher Knowles of the Homicide Unit. Yeah, this happens a lot, actually. I think more than what they put out there. It does. They don't. A lot of those officers, especially corrections officers, they don't care if you have mental problems. I have, over the years of my life, I have had friends, acquaintances, and known a lot of people who are ex-convicts who have been to prison, and I've even known a couple corrections officers, and I've heard time and time again how there are so many people in there that are mentally ill, just mentally ill, and don't belong in prison. But there's nowhere else to put them, because apparently they're not just ill, they're dangerously ill, to the point where if they put them in a psychiatric hospital, they're likely to have an episode and slaughter people. So they get put in prison. But even the ones that won't slaughter people and just need help, obviously they have a unit for this, they don't get treated very well. And it's something society has kind of always done. We've, just in a whole, for the most part, a lot of people kind of shun the mentally ill, because we don't want to deal with it. So these corrections officers who are hired to deal with it, who are there to uphold the law, to keep the peace, to keep people safe, don't care. A lot of them. And in a lot of cases, people end up passing away, but it's not directly caused by force of an officer, so the officers don't get prosecuted. But they may not, have good enough nutrition. They may get like a staph infection, and get a blood infection. They may just get sick. I've heard about people getting really sick and not getting their meds, and then suffocating or dying. So one way or another they die. And I think in all those cases, whatever officers are on duty, while that person's in that unit, should be held accountable. Just because you didn't physically have something to do with someone's death, if you were there and you didn't provide them what they needed and they died because of it, I think you should still be held accountable. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for being here. From the bottom of my heart, I love each and every one of you. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. I'm growing this channel. It's a little bit of a slow go, but from what I understand, that's kind of how it works when you for the first few months when you start out, you just got to keep grinding. So I'm going to keep grinding. I'm going to get better at my speaking skills, my narration. I know there's some static and some back static coming through my system, my speakers. I got an old notebook I'm using. So until I can upgrade, or at least get me some headphones that can plug in, because this thing came in Bluetooth to my regular headphones. It just is what it is at the moment, but I am going to get that fixed. But yeah, I do plan on growing this channel, being here for a long time, and upgrading to where the sound's much better, my skills become much better, and I can really, put out good content, great news stories, that are not just, in a sense, entertaining, because I know that's probably a bad word, but it's true. people watch documentaries about, ghost stories or about serial killers, this and that. So it's somewhat entertaining, but I also think it's stories that needs to be exposed. There's no shortage of corrupt officials, corrupt cops, corrupt judges, and it's just crazy. So knowing how much corruption there is out there, and that there's almost at least one corrupt cop in every single jurisdiction, if not quite a few of them, I think it's something that needs to be exposed. So as I get better, I want to make it to where y'all want to hang out and keep listening. So for those of you that subscribed already, thank you again. For those of you that haven't, if you like what I'm putting down, stay tuned. There's going to be plenty more. Have a great evening or a great day or a great morning, whatever time frame you're in. And until the next one, y'all, stay wild.